Does a husband have higher authority than his wife in a marriage? Assalamu alaikum, I'm Munib Ali. Welcome to another video on the Qur'an study channel. So as you know, we are doing a series of study sessions looking at how Allah describes in the Qur'an the relationship that is required between a husband and wife. In one of our recent videos, we studied whether a man can hit his wife. And I listed these other videos that we were going to be doing in our Qur'an study sessions. If you haven't seen the video and the study we did into whether a man can hit his wife, please do go over to our YouTube channel and take a look. And subscribe to the channel while you are there to see all of these other videos that we're putting up focused on marriage. And remember, we put videos up on the YouTube channel every week, so make sure you subscribe to be able to see all of our videos as we put them up. So today's study session is about whether a husband has higher authority than his wife. And this is a very important topic because we see in many families, in many cultures, that a lot of people take this to be the case, that the husband is superior to the wife, that the wife should listen to the husband and submit to the husband's orders and commands. Now, as for the previous video, I did a short study on the social media platforms that we are on to see what our viewers think the answer to this question is. And it was quite interesting. So there isn't much difference in the responses that we got back. 38% of the responders suggested that they believed that a husband does have higher authority than his wife, whereas 59% said no, they do not. Now, admittedly, the number of responses is very small. We had 180 responses, partly because I only put up this survey a few days ago. But still, it's interesting to see what people are saying. And in the comments that I've been receiving, what I found very interesting was that there are even some ladies, some wives, who believe that they must submit to the commands of their husband. And that if they do not, and if they make their husbands unhappy, it is equivalent to making Allah unhappy, which I thought was very interesting. And it demonstrates why this is such an important topic for us to understand. So let's get started with the study, shall we? So in today's session, we're going to look at two different things. The first thing that we are going to look at is how God describes in the Qur'an the standing of a husband and wife. What is their standing relative to each other? Is one superior to the other? That's the first thing. And the second thing we will look at are two verses which people understand to give the husband a matter or a rank of superiority. We are going to be looking at those two verses as well to see what they are. Okay? So, the standing of husband and wife. Now, for me, the key to this is this verse here in the Qur'an, Surah Ar-Rum, which is chapter 30, verse 21. And among his signs is this: He created for you mates from yourselves, so that you might find comfort in them. And He ordained between you love and kindness. In that are signs for those who reflect. Now, the word I want us to be studying today is azwaajan, mates. For me, azwaajan is the key. When we begin to understand the meaning of the word azwaajan, it begins to clarify this relationship between husband and wife. It is the key. So, let's look at this word. Azwaajan is made up of the root word zawj. Okay? And the meaning of this root word is couple, something which is joint, a pair, something which is united, and spouse. Okay, so it's about two things. A couple, a pair, two things joined together and united. So rather than translate azwaajan as mates, I think A better translation is pairs. He created for you pairs from yourselves. Now, let's think about pairs. Why has Allah used this word, zawj? What is it about pairs? So, in order to understand this, let's think about pairs. Pairs is where you have two things side by side. Two equal things. That is a pair. Think about a pair of socks. Think about a pair of shoes, for example. Two similar things. Now, so let's just do a bit of study between us on this one. Let's take some sticky notes and think about what we understand to be the characteristics of pairs. Okay? So this is something for you to think about as well. We're going to put some sticky notes up on the board over here, but I want you to think about if there are any others you can think of. And let me know in the comment section if there are others, okay? Because these are just some examples. So when I think of pairs, one of the first things that comes to my mind is that both are of equal importance. So we're taking a pair of shoes. Both shoes are equally important to me. One is not more important than the other. Okay? Does that make sense? And let me say, I'm not saying a married couple are the same as a pair of shoes. We're using a pair of shoes to try to understand what Allah is saying to us when He describes a husband and wife as a pair. Zawj. We're trying to understand zawj. Okay, so let's go back to this board. So, both are of equal importance. What else? Have a think. How about this? They both work together. When you have a pair of shoes, they both work together. We wear them and they're both being used to walk side by side. It's a team, yes? What else? One is not superior to the other. I will never say one of my shoes is more superior to the other shoes, will I? Or if I'm wearing a pair of socks, one sock is more important or more superior to the other. No, both are same. Both are equally important. What else? They both work in harmony and they bring balance. So think about a pair of shoes again. When you wear a pair of shoes and you walk, they're both working in harmony, right? And they bring balance. If one of them was not there, or if one of them was more worn out than the other, then you'd be disbalanced. So both of them are equally important and they bring balance. What else? If one is treated as less important than the other, the outcome will not be balanced. So if I say to myself, one of my shoes is not as important, let's remove it or let's rough it up or, whatever. If that happens, then the balance which I maintain when I'm walking will go. So we use the example of a pair of shoes. Now think about a couple. Think about a married couple. The same thing applies. In a married couple, both husband and wife are zawj. They're both equally important. They have to work in harmony as a team. One is not superior to the other. They are together. They progress together. They help each other. They are a team. They bring their various capabilities together and they progress together. That is why Allah has described man and woman as azwaajan. That is what it means. Now that will enable us to understand the answer to the question we're looking at today, whether a man has more authority than his wife. But let's move on. The other thing we want to look at is, one might say that, even though one is not superior to the other, man, though, is more superior naturally. Man has more capability. And that, the wife should understand this. Well, God does not differentiate between men and women. This is really important. There are many, many verses in the Qur'an where Allah makes this clear. Here is one over here. And this is about forgiveness and reward. Look how clear Allah makes the similarities between how men and women are treated in the eyes of God. Surely Muslim men and women, believing men and women, devout men and women, truthful men and women, patient men and women, humble men and women, charitable men and women, fasting men and women who guard their chastity, and men and women who remember Allah often. For all of them, Allah has prepared forgiveness and great reward. In Allah's eyes, both man and woman are equal. Okay? There are many other verses in the Qur'an which make this very clear. Here are 3 more, which I've just listed here, which I would very much encourage you to look at as well, to get this very clear in your mind. So, we've looked at now the standing of husband and wife, okay? We've done that. We've looked at the equal standing, that one is not superior than the other. They are a pair. A pair, okay? We must remember that. Now, I said we were going to look at these 2 verses that people misunderstand and take it to mean that the man has more authority over the wife. Now, given time, what I'm going to do is show you these 2 verses today in terms of the translations which I used, and then we will study these properly next week. Here are the 2 verses. The first one is Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4, verse 34. And it's really interesting. One of the translations which I've seen, and many people have seen because they use this to explain how men are superior to women when it comes to a marital relationship. Men are in charge of women because Allah hath made the one of them to excel the other. So this seems to suggest that men are in charge and they're supposed to be the masters because Allah has made them excel over women. How interesting. And the other verse we're going to be going through is this one here. Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 228. And you can see it says here near the bottom, and men are a degree above them. Men are a degree above women. Again, this would seem to suggest that men are superior to women. So what's happening here? So this is going to be quite an interesting study. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and you come back next week to have a look at that video in order to get a complete understanding of what Allah says about whether men are more superior to women, whether husbands are meant to be in authority compared to their wives. We must complete the study. So I hope this first part was useful for you. Please come back next week. We will complete this study. And don't forget, apart from this particular one, we are also going to be studying over the course of the next few weeks all of these important topics about women and their rights. Because this is a huge problem in today's society. And we must understand what God says to us in the Qur'an about these important topics. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.
أفلا يتدبرون القرآن